What's up, Pirates? Ray Talks here with Awaken TCG, and today we have an overview video of OP05. So as you guys know, there was a Treasure Cup in Paris, and there was a offline regional in Los Angeles, as well as a 3v3. We're not going to cover the 3v3, but we're going to cover these two tournaments that just recently happened. As you know, there's going to be no tournaments, at least official tournaments, until nationals now. This was going to be the only set of tournaments, if I'm not mistaken. And so we have no online treasure cups, no online regionals until February. We get some treasure cups. But now we're going to have to wait. You know, there's a little period of where, like, okay, so Christmas is coming up, New Year's. They probably did that on purpose just to avoid having tournaments on those days. You know, people like to celebrate and definitely take vacation for those days. And so it's definitely warranted. And so here we have two tournaments. Let's go over the Paris results first. As you can see here, this was a Treasure Cup. It had 438 players, as you can see on screen. It was 8 rounds of Swiss into top 16 top cut. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was top cut. Yeah, so it looks like it was top cut. That I'm pretty sure this is what that means there. So let's go over the top 16 leaders here. We had 9 Sakazuki, 3 Katakuri, 1 Nugate, 1 Law, 1 ST10, which is Red Purple Luffy, and 1 Zoro. So with that being said here, obviously we have the placings here. We have a Sakazuki in first, a Sakazuki in second, 2 in top 4, which is a Nugate and another Sakazuki, top 8, which is 3 more Sakazukis and 1 Katakuri. Then we have top 16 with 1, 2, 3 more Sakazukis, the 2 Curries in here, the Law and the Luffy, as well as the Zoro into the top 16, which is definitely not bad. But here, if we take a look at the top 8, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the top 8 are Sakazukis. So you do the math there. That is a pretty good chance to win the whole thing, right? So if we look at the pie chart here, we have a pretty distinguished pattern here where Sakazuki is just taking up a whole chunk. What we don't see in this top 16, though, in this top 16 top cut is no Enel, right? So I think the fear of just having bad matchups into Purple Luffy is what warranted the absence of Enel here, right? Enel into Purple Luffy is pretty rough, right? So people like to say it's an auto scoop matchup, but I would disagree. If they don't see 2-3 Magellans, it's definitely still winnable and within reach, but it is a losing matchup. And as far as Enel into Sakazuki, I think Sakazuki is only slightly favored. I've done a lot of testing, and I'm going to continue to do a lot more testing because I'm actually going to focus on Enel for the time being and playing Sakazuki on the side. That may change. We still have a lot of time until nationals. But with that being said, I definitely don't like there only being 3 Katakuris and no Enels in this top 16 list. Either we're really bad in NA, as we'll show you now, or they're just really good, right? So we have, you know, a couple of other leaders here, right? The 4 one-ofs in the top 16, all lost in top 16, which is definitely expected, right? These decks are good, but they're not that good. They're not Sakazuki, right? They're not Purple Luffy. But another thing to know is we did not see no Purple Luffy either. So I think in this tournament in specific, it's probably, I don't have totals of all the decks that were ran, but it's probably a situation where it's like, okay, Sakazuki's the best deck. Everyone's playing Sakazuki. As you can see here, 9 in top 16. So that could be a case of that. But that is going to be this Paris tournament where a Sakazuki took the first place match. And let's go ahead and take a look at the deck list real quick. I'm not trying to add a card. Let's go full screen and zoom this in. So here we have 4 Surus, which are definitely warranted. 2-man Sherries. That feels like at this point it's a staple. You have to run 2 of, right? I don't see 1-ofs. I don't really see 3 ofs. It's always 2. 4 Rebekkas, yes. 4 Brand News, 4 Tashigi, 4 Hina, 2 Kuzan. I like the reduction in the Kuzans. I've been testing Sakazuki with my brother, and he is a way better Sakazuki player than me, and I can admit that. And so he's been doing more testing on this deck than I have, and so he's been telling me that he's even trying to go down to 1. He said 0 might be kind of troll because, you know, if you see it in like Katakuri or something, it's definitely a good card to play because, you know, they're either going to Thunderbolt, which gets you 1 closer life to lethal, or they're just going to leave it on board and you're going to have your way with them. And there's a few key matchups where it definitely can, you know, prove its worth. But he said in the mirror, into Enel, into honestly, any blue deck that can bot deck, any black deck that can just destroy cards, like this card here it just never sticks on board, right? You can Kuzan Sabo, but that's not till 9 Dawn, which is later in the game. You kind of want to play this, on 4 Dawn on curve to get that draw. And so I like the reduction down to 2. I've seen a lot of lists with 3. I definitely think 2 or 1 is going to be the play moving forward, 100%. For Borsellino, this card right here is the card you need to be a no, right? This card is such a good card. You can play this, and if the NL is starving you, they can't Garatsu, they can't Yamato, this card just stays on board. Like, it stays on. The only way to get rid of it is the yellow what is it, Amaru, I think, the when you're at 1 life, rest of 4 or less plus 3,000. And so this card right here is so good. You can even swing into the NL for pressure, and now it's a 6k on their turn. I like the 4 Borsellinos. 4 Roblucci are staples. 3 Sabos, I see 2. You could run 3. 4 Borsellinos is very interesting. That is a very high amount of bot decks, but it works, right? It works. 3 Ice Age, again, going heavy on the Ice Age. This is the first place list, mind you. 4 Great Eruption is a staple, and Houndblaze 4 of staple. So no Kaido, but when it comes down to it, you don't need Kaido to win going second. It just helps you win the matchup, right? It's one of those cards where you run one of, because like if you see it, great. If not, you don't ever need it. So sometimes people like to just forego that at all, right? And you can run an extra Sabo, you can run an extra Borsellino, have these little options. But overall, yeah, I mean, the Sakazuki deck list is not like something you can change like drastically, right? It's like 3 to 4 cards that you can definitely play around with. It's like the ratios on the Borsellinos, the ratios on the Ice Ages, the ratios on the Kuzans. These are the things you can play with. Everything else, like these 2 events, the Robluccis, the Rebeccas, they're all staples, and they need their slots into this deck. So shout outs to him for winning. Pierre, he definitely deserved that, and he is the champion. So now we're going to go and move on to Los Angeles Core TCG. This is going to be the singles event, not the 3v3, although we did have a Nami and a Law in a combination with the Sakazuki as the top team in the 3v3 race. So a crazy combo, right? Nami, Red, Green Law, and Sakazuki. That is definitely a surprise to me, but obviously, they won. They're great players, and congrats to them. That is for another time, another video. Let's go ahead and focus on what we have here on screen. We do have the leader breakdown. So we have 131 Sakazukis, which is a great amount here. As you can see in the pie chart, it's a little over 25%. We have 85 purple Luffys, 73 NLs, right? So here we have the top 3 leaders, in my opinion. We'll count Katakuri in there at 62. So yellow, and then the top 2 other leaders taking about almost 65% of the chart, which is very expected, very, very expected. I expected this down to the line, right? So I said Sakazuki was going to be the most used, Luffy, Enel, and then Katakuri. So down to the T, I predicted this leader breakdown here. We have 35 ST10 Luffys, red, purple Luffy. So in a previous video set, I did state that I was going to expect a lot more red because of it being at full power, 4 rad beams, 4 new gates, 4 of everything that you need. And so here we have 15 Zoros, 17 Laws, 21 new gates, and 35 Luffys. So technically all these are red, right? So we have about 65%, 70, almost 70% of the chart being, the top 3 decks. And then we have the other 30% being red, which is, again, probably for a reason, because they are very good decks right now. Obviously, Law and Zoro have a harder time. As you can see, they're probably the lowest amount in the leader breakdown, aside from all the other decks, because of the reason that Sakazuki just destroys these matchups. Zoro has a chance to rush down the Sakazuki, but you have to run a rush list that goes, bad into other matchups. So it's rough. And so for the top 16 breakdown, we have 6 Sakazukis, 5 Enel, 2 Luffy, 1 ST10 Luffy, 1 Nugate, and 1 Katakuri. Basically, what this means, Sakazuki is Sakazuki. Our Enel players here are a lot better. Our purple Luffy players are a lot worse, and then we just have a little bit of Katakuri, which is good into Saka, a Nugate that's always ready to pop off because it's a great leader. It's back to full power. It with the right pilot, this deck is still a threat. You still have to know how to play against it. And then RP Luffy, just a Edward Nugate clone, and so that is our top 16 breakdown. We actually had an Enel going first and getting second place. 3 Luffys, 2 being purple Luffy in the top 8-ish, so that's ninth place. But we have 3 Enels in the top 8, which is good to see. 1, 2, 3 Sakazukis, 3 Enel, one of each of these Luffys. Pretty good top 8 breakdown. Obviously this comes down to these 8 and 1s come down to matchup. What am I thinking of? Your matchup spread, like tiebreakers. You know, whether you're second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all this, they're all 8 and 1, but all this just depends on tiebreakers. So, you know, you can interchange them from up here to down here, for the most part. Also take this tournament with a little grain of salt. The 3v3 was happening, and a majority of the top players at this event were in the 3v3 trying to get that, you know, last serial Luffy that is just not possible anymore because they are giving out Shank. So the 3v3s are the only way to get these serial Luffys, which are, you know, $5,000 plus, so high price tag on them. And so that is why this tournament was not at full scale. And what I mean by that is, like, every single killer that was at this event wasn't in this tournament. That's not shade to these amazing players that made top 8 and that made top 16. They're still really good, but we would have had different results, obviously, because we would have had another, you know, 30, 40, 50 top end players into this tournament. So the results would have been a lot different. Probably some of our best Sakazuki players were in the 3v3. But as you can see here, this tournament panned out and an Enel won. So I'm super happy for that. All my yellow cards that I bought are just shooting up in price. I actually made the decision probably like 5 days ago to switch to Enel full time. And I dripped out the deck. I bought all the yellow cards before the prices hiked up. So if you check right now, Enel, all the cards for Enel, the prices just skyrocketed. The Katakuris, $75. The Altar, $100. The Yamatos went up. The Beiges went up a little bit. The Sanjis went up a little bit. And so yellow is very, very much so the highest pricing deck right now you can make. Our video we made about the Enel deck list to make is outdated. It is so much more pricier now. I wouldn't recommend making the deck right now unless you have the cards right. It is a fun deck. The good thing about Enel, it's a scrub killer deck, and at the highest level, it's still very hard to deal with. Your opponent has to know in and out how to deal with Enel. One misplay is all it takes for them to lose, right? Enel is so great at punishing mistakes, and if you want to become an Enel player, I'm definitely going to be making an expert guide on Enel, as I've been putting a lot of time into playing him. And right now I'm just kind of learning other matchups. I know the Sakazuki matchup in and out, so I definitely want to wait till I know some of the other matchups just as well as I know the Sakazuki matchup. And then I'm going to definitely make a guide for everybody that's interested in the deck. And so I kind of wanted to just come on here and, you know, show you guys the top 16 list for here and for France. Because it's super interesting, right? The very first OP05 regional, everybody wants to know what is going to happen. Well, here we are. We know what happened. And I definitely want to react to the finals game. We have the Singapore finals as well for the Bandai Card Fest Nationals in Singapore. So there's a lot of things for me to react to. The France finals, you know, things like this. And so if I don't have any videos in place for the next couple of days, I'll definitely be reacting to those videos and seeing what happened, because I have not seen them. And I know Raiju won in Singapore. And so I'm definitely interested to see that one at the very least. So probably as soon as I'm done here, I'm probably going to go and, you know, maybe watch that one. I'm just very curious as to see how that deck works. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching this commentary video, you know, and being a part of just everything we've built so far. And we hope to continue to be a part of your guys' daily routines, because we upload daily, if you guys did not know. And it would be amazing if you guys could go ahead and go down, like this video right now, subscribe to our channel, comment down below what you're playing in OP05. And without further ado, you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.